up, nerds and nerdettes and wee little nerdlings all? It's your buddy Big John and G, the Two Gun Pixie presents Legendary Gaming. It's time for a Publisher Playhouse shout out. I'm here to tell you about a company that has been impressing me. Someone whose line of games I really want more people to be aware of. So please, relax, sit down, and join me at the table. And I'll tell you what I think you need to know. And what's great about Osprey Games. See you down the table. Thanks for joining us down here. So, the game company that I would like to talk to you about today, that I would like to give a shout out to, who I think deserves this shout out this month, Osprey Games. So I started with written reviews several years ago, and Escape from Colditz was a game they sent me to review. And me and the 20-Sided Warriors played this game, this one versus all World War II based game set in what has historically been known as the toughest POW camp in Germany, Nazi Germany at the time. And there's a lot of myth and lore about this. One of the escaping British officers wrote a book on it, became a television series, became a TV movie, a second series, I think, a board game at least twice before, and now this most current update. And one of the things they did was really cool, and I wish more updated games would do this, is they incorporated the original rules in the rulebook for the 75th anniversary update. So you have a chance, if you don't have the original, you could play it in its original form. Now, it didn't stop from there. More games came to me to be reviewed. Some of them, I'll admit, I wasn't all that crazy about, and so I'm not going to bother mentioning those titles here. But the ones that caught my attention, and by far, many more caught my attention than did not catch my attention. But I did notice that they had two games put out, not just one. Sometimes a company just puts one out and they forget about it. They put out two, and I hope they put out more, specifically two-player games. Like their game Agamemnon, which has a chess-like quality in how you need to dominate the board in spaces, areas on it. And these areas are lines of fate. This takes place during the Trojan War, but you're technically not playing the Trojans or the Greeks. You and the other player are the gods, and you are manipulating the strings of fate, quite literally, so that one side will prevail. And the strategy in this game, the head-to-head aspect of going against another player in this strategy very much has a chess-like quality to the feeling that it gives me. And I've never been very good at chess, but I've always enjoyed it. And this gave me that same sensation, the back and forth strategy with each other. The other game that, if you're looking for two-player games, I'm telling you, you're not going to go wrong with Odin's Ravens. This is a card-laying game. You're gonna lay out the terrain because you're playing the two ravens of Odin. So you're gonna lay out the terrain, and each of you are gonna fly in one direction all around the world, right? You know the myth of Hunin and Munin, and you're gonna fly around the world so you can come back at the end of the day and whisper all the world's secrets into all Father Odin's ears. Yeah. But you two have been doing this for millennia, and it gets kind of boring. So you've decided to turn it into a race. See who can get back to All Father the fastest. Of course, on a side note, I don't know how much you're observing if you're trying to speed through an area. But that's for Lord Odin to decide whether it's okay or not. But during the game, you're going to be laying out land cards to move through those specific lands. The more land cards you have of the lands in the order coming out, the further you're going to travel. What really gives this game a nice twist is Loki. Loki wants to have a little fun, so he offers both sides some help. Now, this is where I think the amazing part of the strategy of this game comes in, is whatever you do to another player by using a Loki card, by altering a land in front of him, changing something up, impeding the other player's travel. Whatever you do is going to also affect you. Because remember, you are both going in the opposite direction. So anything you do to your opponent who's over here, when you get over here, those lands are going to be still just as messed up, those land cards. So that gives it a very tricky strategy, because you know that you're going to hit the same wall, literally speaking, that you put up for your opponent. So, but this isn't where it all stops. I mean, they have continued to come out with game after game after game. Now, they aren't just a board gaming company. They're a full publishing company. They come out with books. They come out with RPG material. They come out with supplement material for generic settings. If you want to have a Cthulhu setting, they have Cthulhu campaign books that are not tied specifically to any one game, so you can just drop it into your campaign regardless of what you're playing. But I'm here to tell you about the board games. They came out with a game that they were able to reskin, and both of them did amazing and fabulous jobs, both in the delivery of the game it gives you, as well as sales of these titles. So the first one is based on a historic piece of lost adventuring. Sir Percy Fawcett, a great adventure. In fact, who Indiana Jones was actually based on. His last adventure to South America, he was trying to find El Dorado, the city of gold, Z, which he thought he had seen on a plane trip leaving from the last trip. And he brought his son and one of his son's best friends, and they disappeared. The last telegram received from him, I believe one of them was injured, but they believed it was okay, and Percy said, "Don't send anyone, it's too deadly. If you send anyone to help us, they will probably die." And that's the last message anyone ever heard of Percy Fawcett. And they have a game based on this, where you are and it's in the proper setting of like the 1920s, 30s era, and you are trying to penetrate through the Amazon forest to find the city of gold, Z, El Dorado itself. And you have 3 characters that are doing it, 3 adventurers. And this is a cooperative game, and it runs beautifully. You have to manage the land that you're crossing in order to find the lost city. I've won a little bit less than half the time, and I still dig this game, especially after the expansion came out, which really added a little bit of nice little mysticism, I guess you could say, to it, because it's based on the Fountain of Youth. And that has several different modules, 3 different modules, that you can plug any or all of them into your existing game. Brilliant! I love it. But it goes even further than that, because they took that engine and they adapted it to Judge Dredd. In their title, Judge Dredd Cursed Earth, which is the same engine. They had to tweak a couple of things, like Judge Anderson has psionics, so they had to add in a psionic rule to it. But this is it. You are Judge Dredd, Judge Giant, and Judge Anderson, and the 3 of you are going out into the cursed land, the cursed world, the cursed earth, because you are trying to find a perp. And this perp is carrying a deadly disease. And, you're not alone in this, because there is a team of perps that are out to get him as well. If they get him first, they're bringing him back to the city and weaponizing that disease. So you have to survive the cursed earth, get this guy to save the day. Judge Dredd is a comic book. He's not really a superhero, though, now is he? He's definitely an anti-hero. But he is a well-loved hero in comicdom and comic history. And this skinning is amazing. I don't know which of the 2 games I prefer, but I'll tell you this. I enjoy having both of them, even though how similar they are. I enjoy having both of them on my shelves. Osprey Games has been showing me that they can deliver a game on just about any subject. They have a great sci-fi game. It goes beyond Judge Dredd's post-apocalyptic sci-fi. If you're looking for a more general sci-fi, especially something with a hint, a flavor of the original Alien movie, then look no further than Escape from the Aliens in Outer Space. This is an amazing title. This plays up to, I think, 8 people, I believe it plays up to, and there's really no board. Everyone has a spiral notebook with several maps in it. You all just pick the same map you're playing on. You pick roll cards. Some of you will be scientists. Some of you used to be scientists. But the disease you're trying to cure with the alien DNA you found mutated and changed them into these horrific beasts that want to do nothing more than just eat you and maybe transform you into one of them. So half the players, you don't know who is who. Half the players are scientists. Half of them are these mutants, these alien DNA created mutants. Oh, and the space station you're working on over Earth to try to cure this earthbound disease has kind of exploded. Kinda. It has no power. Well, it has no lights. It has gravity. It has no lights. So the game is literally itself, not you sitting at the table, but the game itself is literally in the dark. All the cards that you play are very dark, very shadowed cards that really play up the effect of the game. The ambiance of the game is seen in every single card for this game. And all you got to do in the dark, bumbling around, is find an escape pod. Oh, but one of them is broken. And they're on opposite ends of each other. Good luck! This is a great hidden role, hidden movement game where the aliens are chasing you down, but they're also chasing each other in a sense, because those that are mutant alien DNA infested scientists that are out to kill and eat everyone, they don't know who the others are. Each one is playing his own solitary game, chasing down everyone else at the table. And the very first game we played out, I think it was the Rye Man got killed. He was a mutant, and on the first or second turn, he got killed by one of the mutants. So they just made an attack in the dark. They heard something, made an attack in the dark. It can happen. This is a really fun game down on the table, and it's not going to play that long. It's not going to take more than 15 or 20 minutes. It's a fantastic filler game. It's probably one of the best ones that I've played, but you need at least, I'd say, 5 people. I'd say anything less than 5. You could probably do 4, but you'd want a minimum number of 5. And yeah, I'm telling you, this game will play in less than half an hour, even with 5, even with 6, 7, or 8 people can play that fast. They have covered a lot of territory. They've even covered World War II games and Cold War era games. They redesigned, in a sense, a manner of speaking, they redesigned Battleship to They Come Unseen, a game that takes place during the Cold War with Russian atomic submarines that are trying to hide from the UN forces. It's a great cat and mouse game. It takes Battleship and adds movement to it. And it adds depth. Literally depth. Not depth in story or character, though that comes with everything else. But it literally adds depth, since you're dealing with submarines. And it is, like I said, I can't put it any other way. It's a great cat and mouse game, a chasing game that you can play with as little as 2 players. But they also have, like I said, they have World War II based games. They have a lot of World War II RPG source books out. But as far as the board games go, their new series, Undaunted. And I know there's right now at least 2 that they have out. Undaunted Normandy, which is the D-Day invasion, where you are now in France, right after you got past the beach of Omaha, and you are fighting in the French countryside. And it is a 2-player game, head-to-head, just like Agamemnon or Odin's Ravens, and one side is Nazi Germany, and the other is the Allied US. And you're moving your troops around, but you're not just moving them and using them in combat, you're managing them in a hand management style game. And it's tile-based. So it gives great depth to replayability as far as different areas in the board and different places from the last time you play it. It has a fun campaign mode as well that you can play out instead of just playing a regular versus game. And then they took this for their standalone expansion of North Africa, but this time instead of individual troops like snipers or mortar shells or sergeants, you're dealing with military vehicles because you're fighting in North Africa. You're fighting Rommel. And everything I just said, it applies again to the North Africa game. It's a fantastically fun two-player head-to-head game. Not a lot of companies come out with more than one or two-player exclusive games. It's not a line of games that you usually see from any one company. But we're up to 4 already from Osprey Games. And I love the fact that they're taking the reins on this, because I'm not seeing that with other companies. Now, there are a lot more games that Osprey puts out. Those are some of my favorite games. But I want you to look into this company. If you're not familiar with these titles, or maybe you are familiar with one of them, but not from any of the others in the company, please, this company is worth your time. I honestly believe that. Don't just judge what I say. Look at other reviewers. Look at their own homepage. Look at them on social media. What other gamers and reviewers are saying about them and their titles. They're worth your time. Their games are worth the time on your table. So please, everyone, do yourself a favor. Check out Osprey Games. So I'm your buddy Big John at G, the Two Gun Pixie presents Legendary Gaming, and my friends, I am out of here.